Ladies and gentlemen, I am Yusril, the game is World of Warship, and that blast from the horns announces the first replay cast I've done in a long while. Yeah, I'm going to try and start doing these again. How long it's going to last, I cannot say, but I've got several good replays stacked up and ready to go thanks to you guys and girls in the audience. So, we'll see what happens, basically. Today, however, we're riding with M4. He's in the French Tier 9 cruiser, the St. Louis, not to be confused with the St. Louis down at Tier 3 in the Americans, and we're on the loop map in domination mode. The St. Louis, of course, 9 guns, torpedo tubes, fairly respectable flak, even if she's not carrying defensive fire in this configuration. She's not a bad boat, honestly. The French Tier 9s are generally pretty good. Of course, the only other Tier 9 is the Alsace, and, well, that thing could pretty easily sass most other battleships in the game. Yes, the puns are terrible. Recent events have not changed those at all. Officially, this is an 8-10 game, but it's mostly 8s and 9s. The only 10s on the game are a couple of destroyers. Everest is in the Hoverosks on this team, along with Maparo PL in a Shimakaze, and the enemy have got Thyatire and Pimenior in Shimakazes over on the enemy team. And those Shimatans are going to cause a fair amount of trouble for M4 and his teammates later on. The other notable thing about the St. Louis, of course, is that she is one of the ships that's going to be featuring in the Azur Lane collaboration coming up, I believe, end of this month, heading into June as well. Well, end of next month, technically. It's still April when I'm recording this, but probably still be April by the time you watch it as well. We'll see. So, yes, this boat is getting a waifu. Some people may well regard this boat as a waifu after what they see in today's match, but hey, well, it's down to you if she's marriageable material or not, or if the mere prospect wants you to make various vomiting noises out of the window. However, the game is just about getting going. The Harikaze's moved into Point C, cap is uncontested, enemy destroyer in Point B, also uncontested, and the Fletcher and the Ibuki are having a staring contest in Point A, but I don't think the Ibuki is the only enemy boat in there. In fact, we're going to find out in a second, because the Ibuki leaves Point A. Does the cap start moving again? Just very, very slightly. Yep, the Ibuki was the only enemy ship in Point A. M4's trying some long-range shots. Gets a few away, doesn't get detected because of the intervening island. He was running off the Harikaze spotting there. And, well, turns out it was actually the enemy New Orleans that was running into Point B. We caught a glimpse of it there just as it pulled out. So, Point C, friendly. Point B, enemy. Enemy mostly heading for Point A. Things could tighten up and box the enemy into the southwest corner, take B back and get A. And then it all starts to go horribly wrong as Thyatire pulls first blood by torpedoing out Gins 34's rune. And the Allied cruisers have gotten a little bit ballsy. That New Orleans in particular has pushed forward to support the Fletcher and is in a good position for radar. There it goes, lighting up both Shimakazes and the Chungmu. But, yeah, that's an enemy gun line consisting of, well, all their battleships, and torpedo arcs from 2 Shimakazes and 2 Chungmu. As you might have guessed, he is not going to live very long. Stormruler, I think, was probably not quite considering his escape options, and while he's only got 2 at this point, full speed south or full speed west, and well, he's trying for south, but it's not enough. 15-inch guns on the Tirpitzes, God knows what else on the Richelieus and the North Carolinas. He goes down, and now they're short 2 cruisers. But M4 pulls it back, repeatedly citadeling the enemy New Orleans with his armor-piercing rounds to put that down. 16 hits, 2 of them citadels, 16,000 damage. The New Orleans have taken fire elsewhere, probably in the course of trying to secure B. But, yeah. First blood for the Allied team. Unfortunately, the enemy are still up 1 cruiser. And oh, looky, it's still going badly in Point A because the Fletcher's overcommitted as well. Barreled past the island, and now, well, he's, yeah, this is not going to be pretty either. Yoink! And the only surprise was that it was the Fletcher. Sorry, the Tirpitz that got the final hits. It was between the Shimakaze, the secondaries, and the Bismarck as who got it. Sneaky fires over the mountains again, tapping the Edinburgh. Takes a quick glance at Captain Nemo in the North Carolina, but there's too much hill for the guns to clear there. So it's a run south, trying to establish the flank. You'll notice at this point that he is not turned north. Now, it's tempting to say he should have done that, gone into point B, but look at the firepower that's covering point B from the southwest. If he had gone north, yeah, he could have maybe sneaked into point B, but the Chungmu or the second Shimakaze would have picked him up. And then, let me see, that's a Tirpitz, a Bismarck, a North Carolina. Ooh, a Richelieu and an Alsace, all with firing lines into point B. It would have been over very, very quickly. M4 instead suggests that the Shimakaze and the Harikaze should divert north. They've got the better stealth. The Harikaze in particular has got a detection range of less than 5.4 kilometers if he is fully concealment build, and they'll have a better time trying to get into point B, especially while M4 is playing a long-range look-at-me game with the high explosive and a couple of the enemy battleships. So, rounds out, North Carolina damcons the first fire. Captain Nemo there arguably making a mistake. That, I think, was only one burn going. But, well, at this kind of range, even M4's having a bit of trouble getting reliable hits on target. Angles away, eats one underwater hit, but luckily doesn't find the Citadel, and returns fire again. Of course, he's getting essentially 2 salvos to the North Carolina's 1, so more fire coming down. Second salvo in the air before the first one lands, and ooh, Captain Nemo is going to be regretting popping his damcon for that single fire right now. He's got 2 burns going, there's a third, and somebody didn't take fire suppression this morning. Fireproofing? Can't remember the skill name. You know, the one that means you only have 1 fire zone in your superstructure, because right now he's got 2 burns and is feeling it rather badly. He's basically not a serious problem, and the rune that's popped up at 14 kilometers is slightly more of one, so M4 switches his fire. Again, notice he is not sailing in a straight line. He's constantly jinking, constantly riding the gimbal limits on his guns, and in fact he's not afraid to go out of shot angle either. He's temporarily lost the 1 and 2 turrets, gets them back, fires again, and by doing this he's constantly ensuring that he's a hard target for the enemy despite being in open water at mid-range. More armor piercing stirs up the water, final salvo down into Capitan Nemo. Boom, gets the kill and the Arsonist. 91,000 damage, and believe me, he's just about getting warmed up. Which is a good thing, because he's still the only member of his team to have actually killed anything, and they've lost another ship. In this case, Gins 34's rune got a bit too cozy with the enemy as well. And, oh, there goes one of the Richelieus. They were dug in, trying to hold the north of A, but against that kind of massed firepower, they were pretty much onto a losing thing. Tirpitz there starting to feel the heat as well. 14.4 kilometers. Kiska getting some action, also getting some smoke, but, well, another fire in the mix. Did Kiska just damacon? Yeah. Well, whether he did or he didn't, it's going to cause him some difficulties because he's still in open water and he's still getting hammered by repeated salvos. And M4, one of Toro's better players, yeah, he's not in the business of missing. Well, mostly not in the business of missing. So, another salvo coming in. Very nice tight groups from French guns. And there's another fire. Well, damcon or not, Kisk is now in a certain amount of trouble as he, well, starts to slowly burn. Right. Meanwhile, up on the north side, that Alsace that was pushing north out of A, yep, the friendly Gascon and the second Richelieu finally managed to hammer it down into nothing. Unfortunately, that does leave them with only 2 battleships trying to hold that northern flank. Kasix goes down to flooding from the Shimakaze. And, oh, looky, it's our friend in the Edinburgh, Valot once again. M4's back onto the armour piercing, looking for those cheeky British citadels. I'm not saying British girls are easy, but, well, it's an Edinburgh. They are pretty much made of citadel if you get them flat broadside, and he's got one flat broadside. The other reason he's constantly sailing in straight line, of course, torpedoes. That was a suicide launch from the Rune of all things. Took a while to get here, but because M4 is walking a more or less random path in terms of exactly where he is at a given moment, well, he's a very, very hard target to hit. Not impossible, mind you, and the rune promptly catches him with a fire. You'll notice he's not panic damconned, knows what he's doing. Back to the armor piercing, 2 fires now from him, now he damcons, and pops a repair party to start healing up. Can he get a parting shot on the Edinburgh just as the Edinburgh ducks behind cover? Yes, he can. Skids over the top of the mountain, finds yet another citadel. Yeah, so that's 5 so far in this game, 3 of them on the Edinburgh, and goes back to hammering the upper works and belt of the rune. Rolling fire at this point, he's looking for various shots, finds the rune citadel, and again more torpedo. Again, remember, he's not sailing in a straight line, he's constantly on the rudder, constantly jinking, and the end result is that the Chungmu had no idea where he was. 1 torpedo salvo down the left, 1 down the far right. Gap you could sail a battleship squadron through in the middle, and that's where he actually was. And oh looky, it's our Edinburgh again. Somebody should have stuck behind that island, but I think he was trying to catch the flank while M4 was hooked up with the rune. Not that it's really helping him very much. Okay, British girls totally are easy, especially the cruisers. However, M4 now has a new problem. The rune's coming around the corner at 5 kilometers. Those torpedoes aren't going to really hit him. No, in fact, they aren't going to hit him at all. But, well, that's a bow section coming around the corner. Nice, flat and broadside. So that's another 5 overpens. Just adjust the fire a little, aim a smidge lower. And there we go, 4 regular pens for 5,000 damage. And why not? Let's jam in a few more salvos. Rune's starting to angle up, so it's not brilliant, but... oh yes, the torpedoes hit the Bismarck instead. So Biscuit takes a flood, and we'll have had to pop damcon from that. Rune still fairly angled. You saw at least one of those shots ricochet, but oh, hey guys, it's not, sir. And he runs himself aground right in front of M4's guns. Oh, now pay attention to M4's position here. He doesn't want to come barreling around that corner because, hey, there's a very angry Biscuit there and someone's been abusing her immortals. So, yeah. Bismarck comes barreling around the corner looking for blood. Not going to save her little sister, however. The rune survives that salvo, but high explosive, 200 health, and M4 looking for the shot. Yoink, that's the end of that. Armour does not care what angle it's at when it's hit by high explosive. M4 takes a big risk here, but for some reason Bismarck's not got the main batteries pointing this way. That might be a replay artifact. Doesn't really matter, however, because 3 torpedoes, close range, yoink. And oh looky, it's our friend in the Edinburgh again. No, it's not armor piercing. No, it doesn't matter. Double strike, Kraken unleashed, 260,000 damage. No, he's still not done, but he's going to have to pull something special here, because right now, the enemy team might well be 1 ship down, but they've got all their destroyers left, and they're 164 points up. Oh, and they've got points A and C uncontested. One of the destroyers, probably the Chungmu, slipped off east and took that while everyone was busy. However, first Shimakaze gets spotted. Thyatire there, pushing south, was probably looking for a torpedo shot on M4, or maybe was stalking Lord Dragon's Bismarck, but got picked up, has smoked up, but, well, M4... smoke is kind of a minor obstacle when you're in a cruiser. You have a good idea of where the enemy was, and yes, that's kill number 6, and the enemy can't do all that much. Caught a quick glimpse of some torpedoes coming from behind from the Chungmu, and now it's 1 Chungmu, 1 Shimakaze, and, well, we're not quite sure where the Ibuki is. We last saw that off on the 1 line, doubtless trying to flank the Gascon, but the second Stripakaze decides, yeah, I've had enough, I'm out of here. 39 knots and probably more with a Sierra Mike, and a couple of fires to encourage him to disappear very quickly. Yeah. Unfortunately, that Missouri going down is something of a hammer blow to their chances, because of course the Missouri was pretty much their last radar ship. In fact, it yeah, with the New Orleans gone, that was their only radar ship, so actually finding Shimakaze now is going to require direct visual observation. And this is patch 7.3, so Shimatan packs a detection radius of around about 6.1 kilometers, depending on the exact build. In other words, if she doesn't fire her guns, you're probably not going to find her again. However, point B is contested. Mapro PL there has got to go find the Chungmu. Now, that's not an ideal situation for the Shimakaze, because she's outgunned by the Chungmu. Chungmu, of course, is the surplused off Fletcher-class destroyer that ended up with the Republic of China. However, it has deep water torpedoes, so if Mapro can get close and feed 15 fish into the Chungmu, then he has a pretty good chance of winning this, especially with fire support from M4's guns in St. Louis. Problem is, the Chungmu driver knows this, so he's got his stern on to the Shimakaze, is rapid firing those guns, and despite the fact that, yep, it's not so once again, he does manage to dodge the first salvo of fish, and, well, I think he's got adrenaline rush on that boat, because he is absolutely murdering that Shimakaze. Torpedo out and hits. Unfortunately, Griever did take out the Shimakaze with gunfire before he went down. So that's another hammer blow, because it's all very well finding a Shimakaze, but you've got to keep hold of it. However, the enemy are now 410 points ahead, thanks to their little rampage on the caps. There are 3 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. Basically, they've got to find and murder both the Ibuki and the last Shimakaze in order to win. And that's going to be problematic. We have a pretty good idea of where the Ibuki is. We just caught a view of its catapult fighter behind the island on the one line, but that Shimakaze could be anywhere. So M4 calls for a plane launch from Bismarck, but doesn't really need it because, yeah, the Ibuki immediately came round the corner, fired a salvo and hit pretty hard. M4 is down to 5,500 health. He has got no repair parties left, and he was lucky that the Ibuki did not immediately follow that up with high explosive, because he's bow on, and right now a couple of good slaps from the Japanese 8-inch round. Oh wow, he's still getting armor piercing incoming, so he can bounce the worst of that. Yeah. If that Ibuki had fired high explosive for the second and third salvos, that might have been the end of M4. Okay, torpedoes coming in, so we've got a good idea of where the Shimakaze was a few minutes ago, but we knew that from the map marker anywhere. And, oh, there's an obliging and cheeky little 5-inch salvo as well. Rounds just come down, high explosive, looking for damage. Doesn't really get anything, in fact doesn't get anything at all, but just a little I was here, mate. However, Shimatan got a little bit too quick on the guns there, because if the torpedoes came from northeast, and the weapons fire came from east-northeast, and M4's not detected, you see that island at Delta 4? Yeah, that's where the Shimakaze is. Right, okay. Just need to get over there, murder a Shimakaze in 80 seconds. Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? Not unless the turbo stripper gets over enthusiastic and fires her guns out in front of a Bismarck and a St. Louis. And as M4 points out, if he had fired, well, and hit that Chungmu before it murdered the Shimakaze, well, they'd have had a destroyer and they'd have had something to hold the enemy destroyer in contact, but unfortunately it's not going to work out. So, despite 300,000 damage, almost 240 main battery hits, in fact, almost 250 if you count the citadels, 17 fires, a double strike, a Kraken, a Confederate, a high caliber, a devastating strike, oh yes, and a dreadnought, because he's going to survive this game. It's heading for a loss. 996, 999. Yeah, somebody get him for a chiropractor. I think he's gonna need one.